Good morning to everybody and welcome to Timeout. My name is Jack Windt. I've just stopped here at the reserve where I go and cycle and do timeout, and my bicycle is at the back there. The sun is coming out, and I thought I'd just share a short story with you about what happened to me last week before I get out of this car. But before I do, later on I'm going to have a great chat about how to strike it rich guaranteed. So don't go away. If you want to hear how to strike it rich guaranteed, just hang in there. I'm going to be there in a few minutes and I'm going to share that with you. But I thought I'd share about, people say, what do leaders do in the week and do they work? So I thought I'll tell you about my week last week to encourage you. I'd been for my physical checkup with my doctor 2 weeks ago, and he was raving about all my results, how great they were, until he saw my ECG, which he had done on me. And he said, and when your doctor says, about your ECG, your heart literally sinks. And he said there was some form of, it seemed, restriction somewhere of blood flow, and he wasn't sure, and I had to see a cardiologist. And so he made an appointment with me for a cardiologist, a very great one, I have to say, a great man, and quite world-renowned, actually, when I read up on about him. And he made the appointment last week, Monday. So on Monday, my week started seeing a cardiologist at 9 o'clock, and he did a sonar and everything was fine. And he said, my heart's fine, but he can't see the arteries. He'd have to do an angiogram to see what's in an artery. And, I don't know if you know what an angiogram is. It's not a nice thought, because they push a pipe up your arteries into your heart or close to your heart, and they look with a camera what's going on. And I never had one, so I was quite nervous. So I said, all right, if that's why it's to be done. And he said, no, whenever you're ready, we can do it. I said, no, I'm ready. I don't want to sit and wait and think about that. So the Thursday he booked me in to the hospital, and he made an appointment for me. So because I had to push everything forward after Monday, the Tuesday, I had to have all my appointments with planning and seeing people and counseling. And so, and at the top of that, he said, Tuesday afternoon, you must go for a COVID test, because you can't get into the hospital unless you have a COVID test. So on the Tuesday after all that, I had to go for a COVID test, and they pushed something up my nose. I want to tell you, it seemed that they went on and on and on. When I told my wife about it, she doesn't normally crack jokes. She said, yeah, they pushed it right into your past. And for my wife, Shady, that's quite funny. And that's how it felt. Anyway, I had my COVID test. It was an experience. And then on Wednesday, because of the fact that I couldn't do timeout Thursday or Friday, I didn't know where I was going to be. I came out to the reserve on Wednesday to do timeout. And then, of course, on Thursday morning at 6 o'clock, he said, come in early. Then I can see if I can do you early in the morning, and you can be maybe home at after lunch if everything's fine. Well, I got dropped off by my wife. Like I'm going to school for the first time with my little dog bag. I walked to the parking, booked myself into the hospital, and I spoke to the guy at the reception. He said, no, he knows about me. They're just arranging a room for me. And I still, when I'm nervous, I joke. So I still said to the guy, can I have a room with a sea view, please? And he looked up in disbelief, and I said, no, don't worry, I'm just joking. I'm not going to stay that long. Well, I want to say I had a wonderful experience in the Union Hospital. Brilliant people. I had the opportunity with our members to pray for weeks outside in the parking there for somebody that was a few people that were in hospital, and now I was the customer on the other side. But it was a brilliant experience. Well, I handed all my stuff in the morning on Thursday, my cell phone, my keys, because they said, no, you're going to go in now, and the security's taking your stuff and locking it up. But it only happened 12 hours later, because he was busy. Now, a man should not sit alone with no cell phone or nothing for 12 hours thinking about an angiogram. Well, that was me when I eventually went into the theater after 6 o'clock that evening. It was quite an experience. It was brilliant. The people were brilliant there. It was like a spaceship. And 20 minutes later, he leaned over on the table where I was, and he smiled at me, and he said, showed thumbs up. He said, your arteries are clean. There's nothing wrong. Your ECG is now your new normal. Well, I wanted to say something, but I thought I'm in a very vulnerable position. I'd rather keep quiet. And so I had to stay in hospital that evening because it was late. And the next morning, my son Newton fetched me. I had a shower. I went into LWC studio to shoot off the record, our broadcast. And afterwards, we had our educators convention for our school. And the next day I had time out with my grandson, and on the Sunday it was my turn to share, in the morning to preach, and in the afternoon we did a power up orientation for new members. So it was quite a compact week. So for all those who think that leaders don't ever do anything, I want to just tell you I differ with you. It was quite a hectic week, but don't go away. Just in a little while, I'm going to get my bike out. I'm going to go down. I'm going to shoot time out about how to strike it rich, guaranteed. And I'll see you soon. God bless. Well, I'm back again, just like Arnold, but not as the Terminator this morning. But it's just great to be with you this morning. Welcome. And as I said, I'm going to share with you about how to strike it rich in your life, guaranteed. And maybe you know somebody that's really down and they need a bit of encouragement, a friend, a family member. It will be great to pass this on and share it with them and just to encourage them. How to strike it rich, guaranteed. Now, I'm fascinated by oil rigs because they're so massive and they're amazing engineering feats. And you know that they say that once they identify where they're going to drill, it takes between 3 and 5 years of planning to build some of these oil rigs, offshore oil rigs, and obviously thousands of hours, man hours of labor, and who knows how long in the logistics before they can actually get onto the place where they need to put this oil rig. And you know, then once they've got that, they build a massive platform for this oil rig, because everything happens on that platform once they've built it, to actually take the drill and put it in to try and get to the oil. And it reminded me, you know, in our lives, oftentimes, you know, we feel that, you know, God is busy building a platform in our lives. And at times it feels like it's taking forever. It's taking years and years. And maybe you feel this morning that, you know, God's building a platform, but it's never ending. It just never stops. You're never getting any oil. It's just building. And, you know, I think of those oil rigs, you know, it's, if you ever watch people build them, once they've got the platform, you know, there's a hive of activity. People are running around with overhead cranes and steel, and you feel like people could kill you at any minute with a piece of steel hitting you on the side of the head, and, you know, a crane dropping something on your head. And, you know, and if you're in the rough seas where that platform is often, you know, the waves are breaking, trying to destroy your platform, and, you know, you can almost taste the salt on your lips, and just to make it, and just to crown everything, you have these albatrosses flying over, making deposits on your head, and you look up and you think to yourself, what am I doing? What is happening in my life? Why is this platform taking so long? And is it worth the effort? Now, I want to say that God has put a treasure in our lives that is much greater than any oil. And He knows that treasure is there. But you know, many times He's building a platform for you and for me, so that He can start to work and put a drill down in our lives and extract that treasure. Because you see, if that treasure is deep down, it's great, but it's of no value to me or to anyone else unless it comes out of my life. And you know, that's why I believe, just like an oil rig, when you want to start digging for treasure, you need to build a platform. And perhaps God's building a platform in your life right now, and it's painful, and it's taking hours, and it feels endless. But I want to say that, you know, when they build those natural platforms, they build them strong and they build them rugged, because that platform has to last for years and years and years. And you know, when they say that when they sometimes have to go down to get the oil, once the platform is established and been built, it has to go sometimes 3 kilometers down through the earth crust, through the rock, to get to where the oil deposits is. And I feel that sometimes God has to dig deep into our lives through all the rock and the hardness that we've created, so that He can get to the treasure, to extract it. And I want to say that when that's happening to you, when you feel like, your platform is taking forever to be built, and there are people on your platform running around screaming and shouting and, doing stuff, and there's overhead cranes wanting to fall on you, and, there's steel everywhere and welding, and you're feeling the stress, and the waves are breaking over your platform trying to intimidate you, and there's salt in your mouth, and the feeling of, gee, is this really happening? And the albatrosses are flying over, making deposits on your head. And you think to yourself, God, what is happening on my platform? Just remember, God is busy bringing out that treasure. And once they go through that rock and the oil starts to come out, they say the oil deposits are created with fossil fuels that are created under great pressure from animal and plant life and over many thousands of years. And it's that pressure that eventually creates that treasure. And that pressure, when that drill comes, brings that treasure out. And so I want to say to you, next time you feel like you do, and you feel like that you just, everybody's against you, and your platform is taking forever, and the sea is breaking over your platform, and the salt is in your mouth, and the albatrosses are flying over you, making deposits on your head. Just remember that God is working in your life to bring out that treasure. And once that treasure comes out, I want to say to you, you can truly say, I've struck it rich, Jack. Guaranteed. My name is Jack Windt. You've been watching Timeout, and I'll catch you next week.
You unravel me with a melody. You surround me with